Billy Brown, from Louisiana, born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. Opened up my first school in Louisiana in around '98, and then we moved to I moved to Tennessee. Had a school there for 20 years. Dream was always to move to the beach. So in 2020, sold my school, moved to the beach right before COVID. So not good timing there. But we still love it. We don't regret it at all. You know, it's been a little harder getting through COVID and not being able to work for 2 years. It was challenging, but we don't regret it at all. We love Florida. We want to raise a family there. I started Filipino martial arts in '92. Just fell in love with it. I train a lot of different arts, a lot of different systems, and Filipino martial arts seems to constantly challenge me. I'm not saying that the other arts do not, but the Filipino martial arts, I constantly learn something new. Whereas some of the other arts, you get to a point where it's more refinement and precision work, not necessarily learning something new, which is good too, don't get me wrong. But the Filipino martial arts, you have all these different energies of people that do a different flavor of FMA. And we all know that FMA is so vast and everybody has a different feeling, a different flavor. That teaches me. Because I've always been a sponge, and one of my instructors calls me a sponge. I've always been that martial art, I don't know if this is PC, but that martial art addict, or martial art, you know, just constantly wanting just to take it all in and then dissect it, dismantle it, and see if it fits into what I do. You know, that's why when I chose the term Maglahok Kali, it's to blend. Maglahok is blending. I wish it meant mud, because that's exactly what I am. I have about 12 to 15 different, I keep adding it. I mean, Grandmaster Ralphie, I consider him a new instructor now, and he's so wise, and he's really showed me his flavor and his feeling of his family art, and it blends very well with what I do. So I'm constantly kind of adopting new people that can give me something new to add. And I've always been like that, and I think that's the key. Always be hungry for knowledge, always approach it with white belt eyes. I'm a huge Guro Inosanto fan, and just, I will always be loyal to that man. And just seminar work, I haven't been to Cali, but every time I see him, he just opens up he's just so wise, and I learned so much from him. So I do have a lot of the Inosanto La Costa blend. But it's funny, just to go back to the very beginning, my main instructor, my main FMA instructor, Guro Ron Goins, he had a huge Arnis. He trained with Remy, and he also, Leo Gahe lived with him when Leo lived in Nashville. A lot of people don't even know that Leo lived in Nashville, but Leo lived with my instructor. So my first, other than the Inosanto La Costa blend, my first influence was Pekiti, Tirsia, and Arnis, and that alone was a blend. So even at the beginning, I was just blending stuff, not even meaning to do it. But the people that was giving me the material and giving me the knowledge, they were blending, and they had mixed backgrounds, so to speak. So I guess my first influence was the Inosanto Kali and Pekiti, Tirsia, and the modern Arnis. And it's funny, it's kind of a complete circle. Now I hang out with a lot of original Remy students constantly, so I'm constantly watching those guys and learning from those guys. And I hang out with a lot of Pekiti, Tirsia guys. So it's kind of made a complete circle back to the beginning, so to speak.
So I'm looking for the one. There's the one. Looking for the one. There's the one.
Well, my father started me training at 3 years old. My dad was a combatives guy, and he did a blend of Wing Chun, not polished, but grab a jacket, pin the arm, and stroke you type of Wing Chun. You know what I mean? And he did a hard kind of Goju karate style. So a lot of front kicks. He used to always say, "Boy, always kick with your boots on." And he used to make me kick trees all day long with my cowboy boots on, all day long. And so when he passed away, I went through a deep depression. I was 12 when he passed away. And I wasn't eating, I wasn't going to school, I just stayed in the bed. And my mother, one day, I remember, she opens up the door, she throws a phone book across the room and hits me and wakes me up. She said, "Pick a school right now." She goes, "Because I got to get you out of this funk you're in." And I just opened up the phone book to martial arts schools, the Yellow Pages. And I went down, this was probably 91. And I went down and I'm like, oh, Taekwondo, obviously, that was, you know. Luckily, I got with a group that was all about fighting. Old school Taekwondo guys that just was about hitting hard, kicking hard. So I went the Taekwondo route for a while, and then I got in a fight on the playground with an 18-year-old. I was 15. Kid had beard. I mean, he shouldn't have even been in school. I mean, anymore. You know, he looked 30. But I'll never forget, I hit him with a side kick so fast and so ballistically. I thought for sure he should have failed. And it buckled him, and he still was standing. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do it again. He knew I was gonna do it again. So I hit him again, and I landed it too, but he grabbed it and he flipped me, and he got behind me and punched me on the back of the head until they broke it up. So he didn't beat me up, he just beat my ego, so to speak, because I thought I was the stuff. I could make it look good, you know? I was killing everybody in sparring, in the dojo, in the dojang. So I was kind of, you know, my feelings were hurt, and I didn't even go back to the dojang for a week. Finally, I'm like, okay, let me go. And I walked in, and I'll never forget, you know that old saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear, so to speak. I walked in, and I look in the big dojang. We had a small dojang, small workout area. We had a big workout area. The small workout area that had a bunch of Taekwondo people doing patterns, kata. The big workout area, I saw this little round guy stick choking people and headbutting and elbowing people and stick throwing people and stabbing them with blades. I'm like, what is this? I just watched him in awe. I've never seen anything like this since my father. And my father didn't have that. He wasn't technical like this, but he, you know, we trained with knives. Even at 4 years old, he would electric tape butter knives for me. So I was familiar, but I hadn't done that since he died, you know, since he passed away. I walked up to the guy and said, I'm your new student. And he took me under his wing, and he opened up a whole different world for me, introduced me to the Inosantos, and introduced me to the Pekiti Tirsia guys, introduced me to the Jikuno world, to the Muay Thai world. He just opened up to the combatives world. Because he taught combatives to special forces. I mean, he was just he could do the do. And still can. I love him to death. His name's Guro Billy. And from there, it was like an explosion in me happened. And I just started seeking out these different arts and these different instructors to train with. I always came back to FMA though, and as I get older and I'm full of injuries, FMA even becomes more prolific in my life because I can do it and I can make it look good and I can make it work. Whereas I may not be able to make Muay Thai work the rest of my life because it's so much of a more physical demanding art, you know. So I always go back to the FMA, it seems like. I started organizing my curriculum in 2007. And I know that because I opened up my school in Tennessee in 2007. So at that point, I had a good base. I had been training FMA since '92, so I already had some years. And I'd already worked with probably 8 to 10 different instructors at that time. And I started taking their curriculum, and I'm like, well, there's some things that doesn't quite work for me. Like Inosanto, for example, I call him the king of smooth, you know, and he makes him look so pretty. A lot of that stuff I wasn't able to pull off in full contact type of situation. By the way, I was stick sparring full contact at 13 years old. In the Black Belt magazine, I was looking and you had the Dog Brothers, fencing headgear, padding. We couldn't afford any of that. We couldn't even afford good rattan sticks. I had a little group of guys that we worked out with. So whenever my mom would leave, we would unscrew the table legs off the kitchen table, go out and swing these pine table legs at each other. I learned that a stick can cut you like a knife at 14 years old. I got both eyebrows cut open, elbows chipped open. So I would take this stuff and try to pressure test it, and a lot of it, I'm not saying other people couldn't make it work, I was never pulling it off. So I would investigate, and another system had a different approach to it, a little different. And I would go, well, let me take their little approach, put it back in the laboratory, and see if I can tweak and make it at least wake up a light bulb in my head to make it work for me. And I think that was the start of me kind of dissecting everything I was in. To this day, I still dissect everything I do. I compartmentalize it and really break it down to the nasty, dirty core of it. And then you add the art back into it and make it beautiful, because the beauty is very important too. I've been through lots of violence in my life. 20-year club doorman, private security sector, bodyguard work for a little bit, which I saw absolutely zero action doing, by the way. but it was fun. So I've been through lots of violence, 2 decades of it. And I think that as I'm retired now from that job, my wife wouldn't even let me do it again. I get offers all the time to run people's teams. But I think that the beauty is so important now because I saw the dirty for so long. I got so burned out and I got in a dark place. The beauty of especially FMA, every art can be beautiful, but especially FFA can be really, really beautiful. So I started kind of, as I get older, I really look back for that beauty in it. But at the same time, I'm a combative guy. I want to be able to know that I can defend myself, and I want to be able to know that I can teach my loved ones and my students to defend themselves also. So I think, to answer the original question, 2007 is when I really started dissecting and writing on my own curriculum, coming up with my own curriculum. And there are things, you're going to see things that look like Inosanto, you're going to see things that look like Pekiti Tirsia, you're going to see Arnis, modern Arnis elements. You're going to see a little Sayak. You're going to see all these little different elements, and some of the way I move and the way I respond may be a little different to some people. It's because it's just the way I do things now, you know? So I hate saying, though, that I've never been that guy to say I've started my own art, our own system. Maglahok Kali is my curriculum that I put together. If it's a little different than what you do, then fine, it's my flavor for it. I know some guys use the term flavor when they talk about it. But I think it's unique. I think it's unique because it has more elements than, you know, than maybe one single art does. And that goes back to showing you me cross-training. I still like the Jiu-Jitsu. I train it daily, weekly at least. I teach it weekly. I still enjoy kicking and punching. But as I'm getting older, the body's not able to handle all that all day. I used to kick and punch baseball bats, trees, spar 6 hours a day. Even in the time of my wife, we've been together 12 years, even at the beginning of that, she saw that part of me. I can't really do that anymore. And so I like it all. I want to be good at it all. But as we age and as our injuries compound, we realize that we may not stay as good at it all as we want to. So. I love these type of events. My seminar schedule has just skyrocketed since we moved to Florida. As you know, we have a huge Filipino community in Florida. Absolutely love that. I really don't think I can do it like a Dan Inosanto or one of my instructors, Hawk Hakeem. I don't think I could do it like those guys. But I do like the occasional traveling, but if I can do seminars even in Florida or surrounding states, I'm happy. I have backyard groups right now. We teach in the park right now. I also have health clubs that let me use the space. I don't know if I ever want to get in the commercial school again. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do miss it. I miss teaching a class of 30, 40 people every night. I miss that deeply. But there's also a whole different stress level that comes with that, obviously. And you ask anybody that's ever owned a martial arts school for longer than a couple years, they'll tell you that, you know, there is a whole different level that comes with owning it. I used to teach all day, all night, sleep, wake up in the morning, do it again. Some weeks I never even went home. I just would sleep in the dojo. I love sharing. I love learning. I learn from my students. I learn from my colleagues that I spend time with. So that's never going to change. I also, you know, I own an online martial arts training video organization, and I love filming. I love putting everything down because when I'm dead and gone, that's going to remain. It's going to be here for my family, for my wife, my kids, my grandkids, and it's going to always be there. You know, I have so many colleagues and instructors that are some of the best martial artists in the world, and they never put anything down. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that they never got world known like they should have, and they don't have as much to leave as they should have. You know, and some of the close ones, I get on their butts all the time. Put that down, film it, film it, film it, film it, film it, put it out there to the world. So I love doing that, and I'm going to keep building that lexicon of martial art training videos as long as I can. So that's definitely having that. When we moved to Florida and went through COVID, if we wouldn't have had that online video organization, we would have been homeless. it's the only work we had for 2 years. I keep building what I'm doing. Keep teaching my groups, keep doing the seminar work, and I'm happy. My goals have definitely changed as I've gotten older. Yeah, sad too. It really should be. I hope one day it develops like a karate or a taekwondo where people aren't so. I think it's a scary art at the beginning for beginners to look at because it's swinging with weapons and stuff, you know. As instructors, we have to find a way to make it more appeasing to the non-martial artists, you know. And we're trying to figure out the ways to do that a little better.
It's weird because there's fencing.
Yeah.
Fencing and then there's the kendo.
Yeah.
But people say, oh, okay, I'm familiar with that, but still.
Well, what makes the fencing and the kendo seem a little safer is because of the armor. And they see us swinging sticks full blast with no padding, but they don't understand the control and the discipline that it takes to do such things, you know. So, but it is, I think it is, places like Florida, where we live, the huge Filipino community, the biggest I've seen in the places I've lived anyway. So I think it's growing in some places not. Oh God, everything. You know, I always joke, it's funny, it seems like Filipinos are like distant cousins to Cajuns. We do have a similar culture, we really do, and it's so funny. I'll end it with a story. The first time I met Guro down in Inosanto was in 2001, and I had traveled from New Orleans to New Jersey. I drove it straight. Back then I could do those things. 25 hours I drove it. But I told Guro Dan, I'm like, I just came to see you from New Orleans. I traveled 25, and he's so modest. He's like, you did that for me? Well, of course. And he goes, so you're from New Orleans? He goes, your family's from Louisiana? I'm like, yes, sir. He goes, I bet you that you have Filipino or Indonesian blood in you. I'm like, no. You know, I didn't tell him that actually, but I was thinking, this guy must be crazy, right? Why would I? And he tried to explain to me, he told me about that everyone docked in New Orleans and they just, some stayed. He goes, now you have Filipinos with blue eyes, brown hair, but they never knew, or blue eyes, blonde hair, and they never knew that they have that. So I'm like, okay, well, years later, I had an aunt spend like countless amount of money in like 5 or 6 years to trace my family tree. She traced it all the way to the mid 1500s, which is unheard of for a family tree. And I found such cool things. I have a strong Viking bloodline, which I knew that a lot of people here do, in America do. But also, 1847, one of my relatives went to Indonesia, married an Indonesian man, moved him back to Louisiana. Then Guro Dan was right. I have about 2% Indonesian. So he's always right. So yeah, so I just love everything about him. But other than that, I love the tribe feeling, the brotherhood, the family. Everybody welcomes you with open arms, and everybody's open to share. And that's the biggest thing that I like about the Filipino culture, is that family mentality out there.